Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ilse Trutte. I am currently the chairperson of the SAAHE Eastern Cape chapter, and we are welcoming you tonight to our third webinar for the year. We present tonight to you Mastering Effective Prompting, Unlocking the Full Potential of Generative Artificial Intelligence using ChatGPT. Or in short, prompt engineering. You are very welcome tonight at our webinar. Just before we start officially with the webinar, just a reminder for those of you who are going to the SAAHE conference next week, we wish you well. The conference is from the 1st to the 4th of July in Bloemfontein. Revive, Renew, Reconnect, Redefining Identity with SAAHE 2025. The conference next week. And then just for those of you who are not yet familiar with how our webinars work, we present 4 webinars every year. And tonight is our third webinar for 2025. So on the screen, if you've missed any of the previous webinars, you can go onto the SAAHE website and you can go under Eastern Cape region and you will see the webinars that have been offered so far. And tonight's webinar will also be uploaded, a recording of that, within a week after today. So if you've missed any of the previous webinars, you're welcome to go to the SAAHE website and watch those webinars. Tonight's program is I'm welcoming you. I'm going to hand over just now to our speaker tonight, Neil Cram. And then we will allow 10 minutes for question and answers. And then short closure at the end. And then also Rian van der Venter will announce the title and the date for the last webinar for this year. So the business of the evening, Neil Cram, very welcome. Neil, you are our guest speaker tonight, a sociologist and an educational technology specialist and academic in the Center of Higher Education Research, Teaching and Learning at Rhodes University. His interest in teaching and learning is centered on blended learning and integrating technology in teaching, learning and assessment, with a focus on the influence of AI on teaching, learning and assessment. And you can read his passion below. I have a passion for all things education. Neil, this is a beautiful testimony of I think who you are and what you strive towards. We are privileged to have you again with us tonight. Previously, Neil also participated in one of our webinars where we started Introduce AI, but tonight the floor is Neil's floor to talk to us and to inform us and to educate us. Neil, very welcome, and I am handing over to you. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Ilse. Good evening, everybody. Let's maybe just get my screen shared. So today we're going to be talking about prompting, right? And I just want to say one really cool thing, or one really sometimes daunting thing, is that this technology changes so quickly, right? Most of us might still be thinking about this as a chatbot that you can see on my screen. This is ChatGPT. And we think about this as something we ask and it gives us a form of an answer. Sometimes a good answer, sometimes a bad answer. But before we get into the prompting, because I think prompting will change, there's a lot less talk about prompt engineering, and I'm going to show you why in a second. And that's just really about 2 things. And I'm only going to talk about 3 slides, right? Just the slides you can see. So when we think about ChatGPT, it's an LLM. We give it an input, and it gives us an output. So write me a story about a healthcare educator. It's going to write me a story. And 2022, 2023, I think that was really pretty much it. Then we started getting things like AI workflows. So input is the prompt that we put in. The quality of the prompt matters really, really, or it has a real importance. It then taps into something else like a calendar or the internet or something like that, and it creates an output. Where AI is going is to move beyond this linear model, more into what is called AI agents, right? So what we're going to be prompting for in the next couple of months is not necessarily, write me a story. It's more going to be, I want to write a story about a cat, and it must have a couple of things. What the AIs will do then is it would reason with your question. It would interact with some tools. It will go through some iterations. It would evaluate it, and then it would create an output. Now, that changes considerably the things that we do, but the basics still matter. And I'm going to actually cheat a bit today. I'm actually just going to prompt, what is, what is required for an effective ChatGPT prompt. And again, spelling doesn't matter. I can spell, I just cannot type. And I mean, we're going to talk through this very quickly because I want to show you what we mean, and some of this future and where prompting is going. So what we have here is the first one, it needs to be clear. I mean, a lot of us tend to think about prompting as we're talking to a machine. I do think sometimes talking to it like a person, and when I say like a person, not saying this thing is intelligent, but using natural language makes this thing generate much better outputs. Give it specific instructions, all right? If you want to create something for teaching purposes, be as specific as possible. The more detail you can give it, the more it's going to respond to it. And also, the more you can engage with that output to say, well, no, you're actually wrong. This is what you should be doing. Give it some contextual information. I mean, we're going to talk about, some examples of how we can use some of these things in the work that we do. And this can range from our research right through to our teaching in every different way and facet, right? Give it a defined output format. What I am seeing at the moment is a lot of the free models are limiting the types of output you can download. Now, when I'm saying outputs, I can, for instance, talk with ChatGPT because I am using a paid account. And I can say, listen, create this type of question for me, give me a model answer, and give it to me as a downloadable Word document, or let me review it. I review it on this chat and then say, create it as a PDF. It can then generate and it would give me a PDF. So there's a lot of different multimodal ways to think about this output as well. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a sinus where I am. There's a lot of flowers. Do you think about setting some constraints? and giving it some expectations. I think that is something that some of us tend to not think about. So if we say, generate a question for me, you need to say, what's the limit of that? So I'm going to use one example right throughout. I'm going to look at kidney stones, right? If I want to create a patient diagnostic interview, I will have to say, I'm going to create this interview, but I'm going to put the limits on. So who's the student that's going to be evaluating this? What is their knowledge base? And those type of things. Again, the more you feed it, the better it gets. Role assignment is very important. In that example of creating that, I would say act like a retinal specialist, busy teaching a second year class in whatever, and let's work through this. And iteration and follow up. A lot of us tend to stop when we're one or two responses in, and we sometimes don't get what we want, but we can shape that in different ways. Now, I'm also going to come clean because most of the people now that are advanced users or somebody that works with GPTs quite often, they tend to cheat as well. So let me show you how I would cheat or how I would prompt. I'm also going to say what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something called deep research. And I think we'll write a paper together during this session. It'll really quickly, we're not interested in the paper, but we'll be interested in the topic, right? So I'm going to start how I would do a prompt. So the first thing that I would do is I'm going to tell GPT what to do. I want to create a ChatGPT deep research prompt for researching how do South African medical educators teach students about the diagnosis. I'm saying this as a very layperson, so if I say something wrong, please correct me. Otherwise, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? About the diagnosis of kidney stones. I am interested in what research has been done in South Africa, and if there is none, look first at Africa and then the rest of the world, right? Now, I'm not even going to stick to all of the 7 things that I've put forward, and you'll see why in a moment. But I am going to give it a parameter. I want this to be based on academic research. Let's just give it that, right? And ChatGPT is going to give you the prompt by itself, right? So it's going to tell you more or less how it interprets what we've said, and then it's going to give us the prompt. Now, what we're going to do now, we're going to wait for it to finish. We're going to copy that. We're going to start a new chat. we're going to paste this in and we're going to live fast and not check anything. The only difference is we're going to run a deep research. Now, deep research is the beginning of those agents that I was talking about. What ChatGPT has done now is it's taken this prompt and it's evaluating it. So I don't know if I must make this a bit bigger. If I need to, you must just give me a thumbs up or something and I'll scan in, I'll zoom in. Hopefully you'd be able to see that a bit better. So what we have here is its evaluation of the prompt. Now, we can review it now. We can say, well, yes, it's given us academic sources. It's given us some of the databases. I don't know if there's a database it's missed. If it has missed one, you can just add it in the chat, and we can actually ask it to source that as well. Let's just go all the way to the back, all the way to the top, and just do a quick scan because we're not even going to do a lot of deep reading here. Synthesize, yes, yes. Any published case studies, yes. Compare findings to international, yes. Highlight gaps in the literature. See, it's already evaluated and put in something by itself when we ask that. And let's see what deep research comes back with. Thanks for the clear and well-structured request. Well done to us. To ensure the literature review is as useful as possible, what is your desired timeframes for this literature review? Well, let's say, let's do the last 10 years only. So nothing past, let's make it 2014. Second question, should I prioritize any specific South African universities? No, look at any medical school in South Africa. I just want to say the caps and all of that, the cases are no longer that important. A while ago, there was, if you use upper cases, that could influence something, but that's been written out for the most part. And would you like a PDF or Word document? Let's do a Word document for download. Also, please give me a list of papers that are most important in this area. And let's give it a lot to do. Also, create a table of these readings and some important elements. So now we can ask, methodologies or whatever we would need. I'm not going to give it too much. And I'm going to say go. Now, why I say this is the first step, this is not going to reevaluate that now again. It's done one iteration of evaluation looking for gaps in the prompt, and it asked what the system thinks is the most important questions. And from there, it's now going to tell us exactly what we're looking at, right? And what it's doing now is it's starting a research process. So what what we will do is we'll come back to ChatGPT, and I'm going to just flip over to a different LLM, which all the same principles apply. But this will probably take about 15 minutes, if that long. I just want to wait here for 1 second, just so that you can see what it's doing. Now, it gives you I'm putting it in inverted commas, the thinking process of what ChatGPT. And now you can see it's changed. If we click looking for sources, we're just waiting for it to actually action that. And just for interest, I have ChatGPT on my cell phone. So what would happen on my cell is that ChatGPT would actually notify me on the app when it's done. So I just sent myself a quick photo, and as you can see on my end, I'll actually get a live activities list that I can see on my cell phone. So it's quite easy to see that. What you'll also see is it will tell you where it's going. If we click on the link, oh, come on, I think I just need to open that. And again, like things happen, they sometimes change. We'll come back to this in a second. Normally what it would do is it would open up a section to the side. Sorry, there we go. I thought it might have been just not enough space. But what it's doing is it's telling us we found 6 sources. We can also see the whole thinking process, right? It'll tell you I'm working through these literature searches, I'm looking for something specific, likely focusing on teaching urology or imaging techniques. And it would tell you what is the search terms it would use as well. And I mean, just based on the rudimentary concepts that I've probably used, which are probably wrong, I'm not sure if that is correct, but you know, it looks a bit more like it's speaking some of the language. It would also tell you the rest of the entire thinking process. It would also tell you where it's going. So we can now click on that link. And I always open this because what happens is sometimes it would even go to a foreign language journal. It would translate the papers and yeah, actually open up quite an interesting bunch of papers. So we'll come back for this while it's going, but as you can see, you can actually look through the entire process. So this is the type of steps that's what's called verifiable AI. So we can verify that the content it has created is true, and that we are actually dealing with something that's more valuable or more likely to be true. It does not mean it cannot hallucinate. It still can. Okay. I see there's something in the chat. Yes, Madeleine, it is unfortunately only on the paid version. And just so that you know, there are 2 tiers to the paid version at the moment. There is I think this is the Plus, and then there's the Pro. So the Plus is the $20 package per month, and what that entitles you to, I think, is about 30 deep researches a month. So you can't unlimitedly use these. But on the pro version, which is $200 a month per person, you can do this in an unlimited way. So yeah, I mean, it's bananas. So the more you pay, the better the tool is, right? That's also one lesson that I must say is out there. Okay, we'll come back to this. It's going to tell us how long this took. We'll be able to verify some of it. I'll share this with you in the chat as well, and we can all have a look at it together. Now, let's go to, this is called AI Studios by Google, or Google AI Studio. I'm going to put this in the chat, so you're actually able to sign up for free. This is that step that we're going into, you know, the new territory of what is AI and how we have to think differently about something like prompting. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of settings that I'm not going to go through now. We're still just going to continue with the prompting side. Now, what we see here, Google has got its own its own version of ChatGPT. That's called Gemini. So what we're essentially seeing here is Gemini. The only difference is it is a little bit more open. So I can give it access to my Google Drive. I haven't done that. I've revoked it, so I don't trust him, to be frank. But yeah, I mean, we're in a Google if you're in a Google environment like Rose is, they probably already have access to everything that you have. But I mean, regardless, it's useful because you're able to design a prompt that would search your Google Drive. So if you've got a folder with all the most important readings that you ever use, that can become an agent that you would use. So for instance, and I'll come back to this to make sure if we have enough time. I've got one folder that I use for my PhD. So I've chucked in all of the readings into that and all of the readings that I'm going to use. So if I give it access and I tell it, here's the link to that folder, anything you need to answer, you have to use this as your knowledge base, it would actually only draw on those readings. Now, that changes the way in which content is generated. And that's a big thing for us because most of us use ChatGPT, as I said, in that input and output mode. But the moment we can connect something else like this, so we'd ask a question, the LLM would think about it, use the content that we want, and then generate an output. So that way we can direct what it's going to harness in a lot more different ways. So let's do a quick example. I want to, again, I'm going to use the way that I prompt. This was a lot different a couple of months ago. But as the technology shifts, the way we engage with it changes as well. So yeah, just so that you do know, there's about 9 minutes left for that deep research to finish. So there's a countdown clock on my phone that tells us how long that runs. But sorry, I mean, has been running for 9 minutes. Okay, so I want to create a chat bot in here. that would answer any questions using a specific reading as its knowledge base. Write a prompt for me to do that and upload the PDF to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to let that run. Now, as you can see, what's also different here, and this is why I shifted to Google. This also has some elements of that deep research within it, right? So it can give you a step-by-step approach to this. And that's very useful because, again, you can now go and see the reasoning behind this, which is probably one of those more difficult things to actually do. Okay. So we're going to grab this. We're going to pull this down. We're not going to worry about copying the code. So if you're not a coder, don't worry. This is a very short code. There's a reason for it, or there's a very short response. And the main reason for this is I'm using a free model. Now, if you looked at the ChatGPT output versus the Gemini output, there's a big difference. I must also say that I'm not using a lot of creativity. You can set the creativity and a whole bunch of other stuff here. So I'm using the equivalent of a free ChatGPT model. Okay, so we can do that. We can do another chat. We can say here, and we can say upload a file. Now I'm just going to upload a random file that I don't always use, or I actually don't know what it is. No, that's a teaching portfolio. Let me use that. Now, again, because it's Google, it asks quite a lot of you. It does have access to everything you upload. So again, it's not something where you would want to upload a ton of, personal data. But what we've done here now is we've created a untitled prompt. We haven't given it a name. We fed it the process, and it's going to tell you the document has been processed. I'm now operating as an expert bot for this session. And from here on, anything you engage with is, about this. And I think this is, about assessment. What are the critical ideas we need to know about assessment? Again, it's going to now run. It's going to do that whole experimental and analysis. It's going to tell you every single thing. And I mean, this is going to change the way that we can now look at this output, because let's say, for argument's sake, this part is completely incorrect or not something that we need. We can just go copy paste, go all the way down. You'll see there's a succinct summary of what in this paper is important. And I can say, this idea was wrong. I want a table, please. And I'm going to let it run. So what we get here is something, again, it's going to tell us how it's thinking, how it's defining the columns. I can now, again, go and copy this if I'm not happy with the columns, and actually get more deeper into this conversation, right? Now, again, this is going to change the way we think about prompting, and the way that we do prompting. And I mean, from here, I can ask it, download this as a PowerPoint slide or whatever I need. You're able to, just share the code or share the prompt. So Google is really gunning to change the way that this thing is being done. Okay, but that's not all. I just want to make sure that I shared my computer audio with you. If you don't mind, I'm just going to stop the share for a second because you need to hear what I'm going to do. Share sound optimized for video sharing, share. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Now, again, here we've got something that's of a particular nature. Let's quickly, before we go for that, yeah, paper is done. Yay! I'm just going to share this in the chat. Copy link, go to the chat. And if you click on that, you'd be able to actually read everything that we've done. Oh, Madeleine, that's a good question. When would you use AI Studio and when would I use ChatGPT? If you only have free access, that's a good question. I think it depends on what I want to do. If I want to use a free versions, I would use ChatGPT to help me think through things. I do think that the reasoning, even on the free version, is a bit better. It's far from the best one, but I would use that. And the Google bot just does a lot more. It's and let me show you why. So here we have the chat. We can also stream. Now, if I now say talk, ChatGPT will, oh, well, Google AI would actually talk to me. So, yeah. Madeleine, I see that you say you have run a deep research. Yes, you do have access. It is one-off access. That was the last notice that I know about, where you have limited internet search as well. So you'd be able to run it, but it's not always going to give you the best output that you would want. Keen, sorry, I'm just going to have a look because sometimes it's easier to just answer this. Keen, we'll come back to yours. I think we just need some more information. Okay. So what I can say is you can do a whole bunch of different things. We can talk to it. Hi, Gemini. tell me about health education in South Africa.
Health education in South Africa focuses on providing information about different health issues, promoting healthy behaviors, and helping people make informed decisions about their well-being. It covers a wide range of topics, including communicable diseases like HIV/AIDS and tuberculosis, non-communicable diseases, and reproductive health. The goal is to improve public health and empower individuals to take charge of their health.
So I'm just going to stop that. I don't know if you were able to actually hear that. But what it now does is you can actually have a full-on conversation with this, and we're able to download my voice recording as well as ChatGPT's response. Now, this is one particular way of doing things, right? It's not. There's a lot that I think has to improve on this. But what it also enables most of us to do that may not have, the same experience is enable something simple as a opportunity to introduce something like machine vision. So sorry, I'm sharing two screens now. So I'm now going to just chat to Gemini first. Gemini, what image is on the screen at the moment? Oh, Gemini, don't fail me now. Okay, I think I can't do two audios. So let's just say, what is on the screen? Let's just do it differently. Hey Gemini. Hey Gemini, what is on the screen right now? Where is it now? What is on the screen now? Sorry. I think it is I'm crossing too many wires at the moment. Let's just quickly type it. Yes. Sorry, colleagues. Like everything, there must always be some difficulty. Let's just share. Gemini, what is on the screen? Okay, now that clearly doesn't help us too much. So let me just stop the Gemini share. Sorry about that. Okay, so Gemini should, in theory, be able to now see that and describe it. It can also describe processes. So, for example, we could, and I'm using something really simple and low stakes, but let's say we've got a YouTube video of how to complete a patient's file, for argument's sake. Gemini could be trained on that, and as students fill in a file, it would have to be digitally for it to really work well. It would be able to actually help the student through that and actually talk to the student as it goes. So yeah, so it's something interesting. Um, uh, no, so here's one big difference between all chatbots. All of us would get different output. So even if I go back to that chat and I ask it the same question, I would get a complete different response every single time. So nothing would ever be the same, essentially. All right. Another thing that it does really well is you're able to build little bots. Now, I'm working on a bot with another colleague, and I must actually just try it, because what we've done is we've just used prompting to build a bot. Here's an example of that said bot. I'm just going to oh, Madeleine, yes. Notebook LM would also use Gemini um, as a base. So so I'm just being facetious with this machine for now.
Hey Neil, I'm Passport Penny. Like always on the go, super chill traveler. So I get it, travel's not for everyone. Some folks just dig the comfort of home, right? But maybe we can find some cool stuff
Hi,
to
Passport.
chat about that doesn't. Hey there, what's up? Hey there, Neil. It's Passport Penny, your pretty laid back travel guide. So even though
Passport Penny,
you're not really into the whole.
have you?
Right on.
Yeah, have you ever? What is the worst place you've ever traveled to?
Huh. The word.
So I think I've got Penny buffering. I'm just going to stop Penny. Sorry, colleagues. But hopefully that could just give you some just a sense of what it can do. And I mean, to build one of these apps, we started with chat, and we said we want to build a app with Gemini. It needs to, have a voice. It needs to be able to talk to somebody and have a conversation about a particular thing. And again, we used a particular set of things, well, a set of readings for it, and we created somebody who could respond in different ways. Um, and I mean that was all done through fairly simple prompting. Um, and I mean, totally from beginning to the end, there was nothing that we couldn't do, because we said we want to build this. We created the app. It didn't work. We copied the code and said in the chat, go back, look at this code, and we take it back again. So you're able to actually do quite a bit of time. Well, a bit with just prompting, and you don't really need much much coding experience. So you have something that can go multimodal, that is very useful. And I mean, the next iteration for me at the moment is I'm prompting to be able to build a little bot that would be able to talk to students when they go to my particular course module. So instead of them typing a question, they're just going to say, hey, when is the assignment due? And it would tell them. And also eventually put it into their diary. So, I mean, I'm going to switch back to ChatGPT for now. And I think Madeleine brought up a really cool tool. If you don't know Notebook LM, I'm going to share it with you. Just want to not share my project, but it is really something else. Okay, But here's something that we can do that we've done. This is just one reading. Let me maybe find something with a bit more stuff uploaded. This has got 13 sources. We can go up to 50 sources. I mean, let me just find one there where I've generated let's just use the one. Here we've taken one reading, but you can do this with 50, and you're able to, with zero prompting, create a podcast, completely digitally done. And you're also able to have your students interact with the podcasters as well with this interactive mode. So once it's finished loading, you see the podcast. You can download the MP4, or if you share this link, your students can actually listen to the podcast and engage with the podcast hosts. You know, in this case, most of it would be the same response. So it won't be completely unique across completely unique every single time. Yeah, but it's exactly that, you know. Yeah. Azine, thanks for introducing how does these models compare to the more scientific AI models, Anara, Research Rabbit, SciSpace. You know, it depends on again, if you've got a paid version, I think it compares like for like. ChatGPT is probably my primary Google search engine at the moment. It's not something that I feel I miss out on. If I do a Google Scholar search or any of the other databases, I get more or less the same searches. But again, that's also not the only use of it. If I mean, some of the medical journals are definitely not open. You know, you can use something like ChatGPT. Let me just check. I think I've got one somewhere. No, let me just start a new chat. Write a Boolean search for looking searching PubMed for, you know, medical education, research on kidney stone, diagnosis. What it's going to do is, because I've given it a direct link to say, I'm looking at this specific one, you know, it's going to give you the plain text. This is what you have to do within those particular databases. Now, I'm busy with a systematic literature review with a colleague. We're deploying this in this specific way, and I mean, our search results with a human-generated one and one generated by AI is actually giving us different results. So it's something interesting. But again, if you look at the prompt, plain, simple language, right? Like talking to a friend. But yeah, I mean, there are things that it won't do. Research Rabbit, particularly, it's not something that it can really compete with. But I do think at some point this is all going to be integrated into one, you know, AI agent eventually. So yeah, I don't think this is something that's gonna be there forever. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. So yes, there are some other things that I can show you as well. I don't know if anybody is familiar with Glass Health. I'm going to just pop the link in the meeting chat. I've done a workshop on Glass Health with another colleague, actually around here, where I'm currently. And if you haven't looked at it, click on Glass Health, have a look. But what we've done is we actually use ChatGPT to help us develop a much better prompt. So again, I'm going to use a kidney disease as, kidney stones as the example. I want to create a prompt for a diagnosis agent in Glass AI. Please write the prompt. I want my students to engage with a patient who needs information about kidney stones. So what we're getting here is, I mean, I do think this sometimes happens in the free version. It happens a lot more in the paid version, and the more you use it, you do get that. So what it's done here is, it's given us a agent prompt for students. It's given us a full scenario. It's given us a prompt for our students. If we look at that little checklist that ChatGPT created, this side has probably already given us a lot more context as compared to this side. So this is pretty much more focused on the knowledge outcomes. So what I normally do here is I like actually both of them because they could complement each other. And instead of selecting one, or I'm going to say I prefer this response, but now I'm going to say please combine these two. Yeah. So what chat now does is it's going to use that scenario. It's going to give me the clinical objectives. Obviously, if there is a difference, if you want your students to pick that up, you don't prompt to correct the steps if yours is different. So yeah, you can actually just use that. And no man, sorry. You can go to Glass and you just paste. Ah, let me just log in. And again, like all good drugs, it's never always free. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna go to a new browser so that it doesn't recognize me as the same person. Hopefully it's worked, because they also do get smarter and tend to outwit each other. and I don't have a proper VPN set up where I am at the moment. So they can probably see who I am quite clearly. Oh, come on. Yeah, colleague, sorry, they've caught me now. Let me quickly sign up. Take me 3 seconds. Actually was signed up and oh my goodness, I'm none of these. Okay. Now it's understanding the query, and what you'll see here again is we've given it a quite detailed prompt, and I didn't review it as I should have, but okay. So I think I actually have to sign up. Sorry, we did this exercise with somebody who has an account. So, but you can actually do this with a pro account, and it would create a agent that you can share with your students, and students are then able to engage with this. But it's fairly simple to do this. It's just about reviewing these steps, along that criteria, and matching that with the knowledge base that is important to you. Because again, like all AIs, they are going to have a North American bias. And it is something that I think it's useful for our students to engage with, because it gives them that ability to develop that evaluative judgment, to actually evaluate the quality of the output based on the knowledge that they've already mastered, but hopefully also see problematic areas for their own knowledge. Yeah, maybe should we go over to the Q&A, because I think there's about 3 minutes. Anything I start now is going to take more than 3 minutes.
Thank you, Neil, for an amazing presentation. I think you have responded to all the questions in the chat, but colleagues, if there are more questions, please post them. We can go a little bit over time, if it's in order.
Okay, wonderful.
If there are any further questions or comments from anybody.
Just want to check. I noticed I didn't receive the pop-up box. Does that mean the data isn't verifiable? I think that was for the deep research that we ran. There is another question. Where would you go if you want to create a lesson plan for students? I actually think any of the AIs deal with that quite easily. And again, prompting for that is something very simple. But again, it's about giving it that context, or at least enough for it to pitch it at the right level. I tend to anthropomorphize these machines when we talk about them, but it's one of those difficult things that you just cannot get away from. Because the best way is actually to think about it that way. Esther, insightful. Thank you. Been working way too hard all along. Yes, most of us do. Until we see somebody use something we haven't seen before, or an approach. And I think that was the idea of today. But let's quickly do one write a prompt for a lesson plan. I think Wilhelmine, would you maybe give us a idea of a lesson that you would want to create? You know, that could make it easier, because I think I might be butchering up the kidney stones thing instead of helping. But yeah, let's go. I'm gonna do the kidney stones or thing until you have one. Yeah. Oh, Marianne, how are you? Um, Learning something new every webinar. It is unfortunately true. I mean, I'm just going into some of the things. Okay, kidney stones are okay. Write a lesson for, I'm assuming, first year or second year students. I'm going to do second year students. Here, medical students at the University of Nelson Mandela. The lesson should cover diagnostics and imaging. It also needs to be sensitive to the context of the Eastern Cape. Okay, so that's what we want. But we're going to say in front of it, write a prompt for writing a lesson. Let's just go with that, right? Now, I think in this approach, our job is really around going through this, with a fine-tooth comb. What you will see is it would take quite a bit of context. It's not going to call it PE. It's going to give us some contextual considerations. It's going to give us some of the social elements, learning outcomes. That sounds okay for me, a layman. Overview of the diagnostic. No. Yeah. So that's fine. Let's actually just run with it. Create a Word example of a full lesson plan. Now, what it's going to do now is it's going to give all of this again. And because I'm using a paid version, create an outline for the PowerPoint. Again, we can now go and actually look at this a lot with a lot more critical eye. Let me just share this with you, because sometimes it's useful, because it generates so much. It's sometimes useful for you to actually just evaluate some of it definitely a lot better. Can we see what it got for the deep research? I will share that right now. I do think it is higher up. Now that deep research one, we can actually, I just want to show you guys one more thing. So there is the deep research in the chat. And here's this lesson plan. Now, what you would also see is you can actually take that conversation further with that lesson plan. And I think this is one thing that's useful, because sometimes you'll see something useful, you ask somebody for the link, and you can just continue and shape it to your needs. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's definitely, I mean, these machines can really do the prompting really well. I think we need to focus on the things that matter. It's about shaping it to the right, to our own needs, and articulating that to the machine. And I think that's the really difficult one to always get right. I'm just going to go back to that deep research for a second, because I've now showed you that, and since we have some time, I will gladly show you something really shocking, or really useful, depending on what you do or what you think about it. Where is that? That's the lesson. That's the. All right. Sorry, excuse me. So what we have here is, and I've kept deep research on. There's a whole bunch of other things that we can connect. My internet is on, so it is going to search that. I'm not going to worry about that. But what I'm now going to do is I'm going to activate the writing model. Now, again, what's going to happen with a lot of these models are that they're going to become more granular. So most of us would have access to either one of these four to varying degrees. I'm now going to activate 4.5 in this chat. Now, 4.5, I don't know if you saw that, good for writing and good for exploring ideas. Now I'm doing this in a combination. So I'm not going to run deep research for now. If I was going to do this, I would actually run it again with deep research. I'm now going to say, all right, using this output, let's write a paper or a position paper on this.
Neil, within
Yes.
the next 5 minutes,
Yeah.
can it write the paper within the next 5 minutes? We are losing people.
Yes, yeah, no, I'm going to let it. Yeah, no, it's going to do it in 5 minutes. That's why I switched off the deep research.
Or give it 2 minutes and see what we get, because I do
Yes.
think we need to also end this session. But this is fascinating. So can one put a time limit on the? Yeah, okay. Let us see what happens if we say 2 minutes. And then, colleagues, I'm going to hand over to you now. Okay. Let us see.
Sure. Sorry, and here's our position paper. Now, I just want to say this is probably not going to be the best paper. If I kept deep research on that, the quality of the paper would be considerably different. And every time I do this, I tend to find that, most colleagues would say this paper is good enough to probably sneak past some people, and there's just no way to detect this in any way, shape, or form. So yeah. This is a terrible paper. I'm going to run it in deep research and I'll share it with you guys. Then you can actually have a look at it. So yeah, and then I'm going to hand over back to you.
Thank you, Neil. This is amazing. Thank you for educating us this tonight. I think this was absolutely an eye-opener for many of us. And thank you for all the comments and also for responding to all the questions. Neil, a big thank you from our side. And just before I hand over to Rian to tell us quickly about the fourth webinar of this year, I just want to say to Neil, enjoy the little bit of the Netherlands while you're still there. And thank you for presenting this evening from very far to us here in the south of Africa. We appreciate the time and all the wisdom that you've shared tonight with us. You are definitely, the passion for education is very visible. A big thank you. Rian, over to you. The last word. What are we doing in our last webinar for the year? Thank you. And colleagues, that then Rian can close the session. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So in our last session for the year on the 12th of November, we are planning to have a webinar 1 hour again, or just over 1 hour, speaking about how we can create inclusive and affirming environments for sexual and gender diverse patients, but also healthcare professionals. So we kind of flipping the health education bit to make it a bit more literal. So it's going to be a educational setting, but hopefully prompting some reflection and what you can then use in your own settings, whether it's educational settings or clinical settings. So that's what we have planned for that webinar. And we will share information in the next few weeks, so you can diarize this and register. But yeah, thank you, Neil, once again for agreeing to do this and sparking some thoughts and maybe making our synapses spiral and go into overdrive, thinking of new and interesting things we can do. And then to everyone that stayed till now and who has joined, thank you very much. And we hope to see you all either at SAAHE next week or at our webinar in November. Have a good evening and goodbye.